His Excellency the Governor of Tamilnadu, Lion Banwarilal, Mr. Purohit, office bearers of the association, it is the legitimate duty on the part of the organizers of this evening function to inform the public the purpose for which these distinguished Frank Morris Memorial and Oration Lectures are being organized year after year for over 35 long memorable years. Secondly, Mr. President, when a definite history of United Writers Association is being chronicled by research scholars by posterity, your memorable association with the United Writers Association will not only be faithfully recalled with profound gratitude, but it will also prove the far-sighted vision of the founders who gave birth to the institution and who have maintained its uninterrupted continuity for over 50 long memorable years that follow. No less than an institution such as the United Writers Association has been richly honored more than 13 reserve and governors, 18 past presidents of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, besides several governors, lieutenant governors in different parts of the country. The late Mr. L.K. Jha, former governor of the Reserve Bank and former governor of Jammu and Kashmir, has visited the association on more than 3 occasions as chairman of Administrative Reforms Commission and integrated with the senior members of the association on credit policy and credit reappraisal. The late Frank Morris was one of the greatest editors that India has ever produced. He was not merely an editor in his own specialized field. He was an original writer and had a style all his own, refreshing and sparkling. His vivacity of style has stood in sharp contrast to the great deal of turgid prose found in the Indian press at large. His versatility was of such a wide range that his comments on whatever subject he took up for elucidation appeared to bear the mark of a genius packed with spicy anecdotes and inimitable wit. His uncanny insight and perception of knowledge on mundane matters always imparted a charming equipoise, a refinement and a restraint that exalted admiration all around. Though the late Frank Morris was a lucid conversationalist, a limpid writer and a discerning journalist, he was not loved with political pomp and power. He was really an institution by himself, enriching every work he undertook and enlarging every activity he sponsored. And what a wide spectrum of work came into his purview, one more fascinating than the other and one more challenging than the other. With due respect to his journalistic experience, one has to admit that Frank Morris looked upon journalism more as a profession than as a mere calling. He was indeed a mighty viceroy of immeasurable sagacity and incontrovertible wisdom. Soft as a flower but hard as a diamond was the way in which Frank Morris wielded his present pen. Without sound and fury, Frank Morris vividly demonstrated that the editor is not a mindless broadcaster of the proprietary whims and fancies, but as one endowed with vibrant personality, capable of molding the opinion of thinking sections of people. Frank Morris has always a charming face, beaming with intelligence, a mind that was always alert, resilient and contemporary, a temperament that was cheerful, benevolent, friendly and optimistic, and a sensibility that was retained by the literary insights and perceptions. In the hands of Frank Morris, the spoken word became a medium of lovable, literary and artistic expression of volume and depth, of rhythm and movement, and light and shade. He was indeed one of those geniuses who, while mastering a branch of knowledge, was never satisfied with working in a limited sphere and came to working in a wider range and sought to come to grips with the varied problems of individual and collective life. The United Writers Association is the foremost premier institution to sponsor this distinguished Frank Morris Memorial Lectures in our country, and the Memorial Lectures and Oration Lectures are primarily intended to bridge the communication gap and the hiatus that exists and thus contribute to better perception of the myriad problems confronting the nation, and that the rich and the poor must try to resolve in each other's interest and strive to write a new and luminous chapter in our past developmental history by delivering and inaugurating this 35th inaugural lecture for honoring Sir, an eminent journalist who was responsible for having extended the realm of journalism to socio-political dimensions of development, fearless comment of the highest in the land, and a broader vision of India, both within and outside. The association would like to reiterate in categorical terms that there was hardly any organization known throughout the length and breadth of our country which has ever succeeded in organizing this series of lectures and which has ever dared so much, fought so much, endeavored so much, and struggled so much to make these memorial lectures as the most memorable one. Dr. Will Durant, the world-renowned historian, as in his masterly book on the rise and fall of civilization, has referred in unmistakable terms that the activities of the United Writers Association has been always dynamic in conception and unparalleled in execution. Dr. H.N. Setna, former chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, as in his recent publication on new dimensions to space technology, has referred that the program of United Writers Association of organizing periodical lectures on various aspects of countries' social, political and economic life is a major contribution to the development of a sound and vigorously outspoken public opinion in the country. With the pardonable pride, Mr. President, we wish to submit that during our memorable stewardship, spanning for over 5 decades, we have consistently labored very hard in not only upholding the cherished objectives of the association, but also in appealing to all people and governments to encourage freedom of thought and opinion, and in its fidelity to the standards of reason and tolerance and truth, to reveal how much we have strained our every nerve to succeed in organizing this series of memorial lectures. No less than a newspaper than the London-based New York Times and the Washington-based Washington Post and the Chennai-based The Hindu, as in their editorial on more than 5 occasions, have commended the spirit of the United Writers Association in not only perpetuating the hallowed memory of the memorial lectures, but also with the choice of the subject and careful selection of the speakers. On the eve of celebrating the 35th memorial lecture, the association would like to reiterate that in terms of organizational skill, more than 150 years old Indian Statistical Institute and 120 years old of Calcutta Chamber of Commerce and Industry and 110 years old of Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry have miserably failed with us, and the association during its last 45 years of existence has crossed swords with the towering literary giraffes of both pre- and post-independent. The invitation extended to the United Writers Association in redrafting the 60 pages of the preamble to the Constitution of the International Parliament for Safety and Peace, written almost with polemical, poetical, purple prose, which has been the ascendance and the approval of more than 147 senator members, is a major contribution which has not been attempted so far in the history of 275 years of International Parliament for Safety and Peace. Again, our annual congregation on From Turmoil to Tranquility, held in cooperation with the University of Petroleum and Energy Management Studies at Ahmednagar, involving more than 3,000 delegates, lasting over for 10 days, has been described by the chairman of the conference, by His Holiness Dalai Lama, as the ever best congregation held in the 100 histories of Ahmednagar. The institution of annual awards instituted by the United Writers Association for over 3 decades has gained wider appreciation among the intelligentsia in particular. The institution of UWA Admirable Awards and Leadership Awards has gained wider appreciation for more than 30 persons drawn from different fields and by receiving their awards from the hands of His Excellency the Governor. We congratulate the award winners who have travelled from the different parts of the country and for their commendable contribution to nation building process and prosperity. As per the registry maintained in the office of the association, more than 678 persons are mercilessly waiting to receive awards from the United Writers Association. Through the banner of the Prime Maurice Foundation and its priceless legacy, the foundation has crafted several endowments and 167 advanced research centers in population studies in various universities throughout the length and breadth of our country. The foundation has also extended its legacy for various colleges, the blind, deaf, physically handicapped, and the school toppers, and the establishment of libraries in the remotest areas. The foundation has remained as the true harbinger and distributed more than 5 lakhs of books, and also gifted tricycles, hearing aids, spectacles, uniforms, school fees for the economically poor and the needy people. With the successful completion of these 35 long memorial lectures, the United Writers Association draws its curtain of 45 years of active existence and 27 years of existence of Frank Morris Foundation, and both the organizations have contributed abundantly to the sound and vigorously outspoken public opinion in the country. Having succeeded for the last 35 years in organizing the series of Frank Morris lectures, which has surpassed almost all memorial lectures in our country, including the Jawaharlal Nehru Memorial Lectures, Cruzan Memorial Lectures, Vikram Sarabhai Memorial Lectures. The association has also organized for the last 5 years Frank Morris Oration Lectures. And the 6th Frank Morris Oration Lecture will be delivered by Dr. Mohammed Yunus, father of microfinance and professor of microfinance and econometrics in the University of Dhaka and Nobel laureate at Vigyan Governance on 27th December. Dr. Manmohan Singh, renowned economist and former Prime Minister, is expected to preside over the deliberations of this Frank Morris lecture. Before concluding my speech, the association would like to explicitly thank Lakshmi Vilas Bank for the sustained cooperation extended to the association for the last 50 memorable years. May I request His Excellency the Governor of Tamilnadu to kindly deliver his inaugural address.
அனைவருக்கும் மாலை வணக்கம். Tyagarajan, Dr. G. Banwarilal, President World Peace and Friendship Council, Purohit, Murali, past President, Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, Anik Kumar, Chairman Lions Club, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here today at this function, being organized by the United Writers Association and the Frank Morris Foundation in honor of Mr. Frank Morris, an illustrious Indian journalist of the 20th century. A book from the Bhagavad Gita, compiled by Purohit, Sri Ram Kumar, is also being released on this occasion. Mr. Frank Morris did his schooling and undergraduate college studies in Pune and Mumbai, and went on to study history and law in England, where he qualified as a barrister. But his passion for writing made him pursue a career as a journalist after experimenting for a brief stint as a lawyer. He excelled as a war journalist during the Second World War in Burma and Sri Lanka, before returning to India, where he worked with a number of newspapers, rising up to the highest level of being an editor. After retiring from a leading newspaper, he settled down in London to spend his final years. To become editor of a newspaper is a very tough job. People don't understand. The ladder is very lengthy. First of all, you have to be a reporter. Then rigorous training goes on. Then sent somewhere else. You have to get the training as a sub-editor. Sub-editor, then chief sub-editor, chief reporter, news editor, assistant editor. Like that, Deputy Editor, Associate Editor, then Editor. You have to work hard, but aspire for it. Nothing is impossible in this world. The moment you desire, start working hard. Correct. Bias report. After retiring from a leading newspaper, he settled down in London to spend his final years. His books include India Today, The Revolt in Tibet, Report on Mao China, Yonder, One World, Study of Asia and West, The Importance of Being Black, An Asian Looks at Africa, and Behind the Bamboo Curtain. His political autobiography, Witness to an Era, India 1920 to the present day, that is 1970. His archives include papers covering mainly 1930s to 1974 and are useful considering that he worked during a crucial period in the history of India. It is a matter of great satisfaction to see that the journalists of today, Bhagavad Gita, bioscience and psychology based on Swami Tapasya Nanda's commentaries is being released today. The Gita, which is the Song of God, consists of 700 verses in Sanskrit and is a part of the Mahabharata. It is set in the form of a narrative framework of a dialogue between Arjuna and Lord Krishna. On the field of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna tries to shy away from his duty as a warrior, means to uphold the dharma, he is counseled by Lord Krishna to fulfill his duty and establish dharma. There are many lessons that one can learn from the Gita. I mention here a few of them. The importance of karma is beautifully set out as follows. Karmanye vadikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phal hetu bhunvate sangosa karmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you must do it without any expectations. Karmanye vadikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. Go on doing, don't bother for the results. You are bound to be successful. It is Gita. Without any expectation about the fruits of your action. Never consider yourself to the cause of the result of your activity and never be attached to not doing your duty. The Gita also teaches us to have unflinching faith in God. Yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavata. Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam jivatma. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya sadhushkritam. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, Krishna says, and a predominant rise of irreligion at that time, I descend myself by order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreant, and well as to re-establish the principles of dharma. I advent myself. From anger arises bewilderment, from bewilderment loss of memory, and from loss of memory destruction of intelligence, and from the destruction of intelligence he perishes. Bhagavad Gita forges a harmony between different strands of Indian thought. Jana, Karma, and Bhakti. It is also a great synthesis of the ideas of the impersonal spiritual monism with personalistic monism of the yoga action, with the yoga of transcendence of action, and these again with yoga, devotion and knowledge. About the Gita, which Mahatma Gandhi considered to be the spiritual dictionary, he has recorded in his diaries object of the Gita, I quote, the object of the Gita appears to me to be that of showing the most excellent way to attain self-realization. And this can be achieved by dedicating all activities to God. That is by surrendering oneself to Him, body and soul. And he called the Gita the philosopher of selfless action. I am informed that the journalists and industries assembled here will be discussing various dimensions of the Indian economy today. As you all know, the economy of India is a developing mixed economy. This is the world's sixth largest economy in nominal GDP terms and the third largest in purchasing power parity terms. The growth prospects of the Indian economy are positive due to the nation's young population, corresponding low dependency ratio, healthy savings and investment rates, and increasing integration into the global economy. India topped the World Bank's growth outlook for the first time in fiscal year 2015-16, during which the economy grew 7.6%. India is ranked 100th out of 190 countries in the World Bank 2018 Ease of Doing Business Index, up to 30 points from the last year's 130. Gradually we are improving. This is the first time in history when India has got into the top 100 ranks. India is the third largest startup of the world. The main reason for is rampant corruption everywhere, from the bottom to the top. That worries everybody. That is the reason for the slow growth. Otherwise you would have been somewhere. So that I tell always when I meet the students, that is how to eliminate the corruption. The moment all Indians we decide to lead a simple life, simple living, Mahatma Gandhi proposed in that period that is needed for the progress of the country. Simple living and hygiene, that was that program. Lead a simple life. Move on a smaller vehicle, what is there? Why you should aspire for the BMW which my friend is moving like? The latest model also that crores of rupees. No harm. My Maruti is the best. That has satisfaction is needed. That satisfaction is there. You practice it. Not for 1 decade. 10 years. If you have practiced it, decided it, implemented it, then after 11th year, if somebody offers you, you've got money, suppose 10 crores, I take the guarantee you will throw it away. No, it's nothing. I am happy, God is keeping me very, very happy. That's automatic. You have to practice it. I am telling you, because I have just, you can call it a research. With almost hundreds of people. Mine is a public life, 5 decades. Thrice member of parliament. MLA so many times. Also journalist. You know? 1978, I managed till 2016. I became governor of Assam. Till that I was managing at home. Good. Good means keeping all the ethics of journalism in mind. That I tell everybody. And you can call me a professor. I am not professor or doctorate, I don't have. But I have a tremendous satisfaction. I have groomed at least more than 500 journalists. We are at the top level in various newspapers. First lesson in journalism is, if in doubt, cut it out. Doubt, don't mention anything. Don't mention. resist yourself. Temptation to be resisted in this competition world. Come on. On one day, let others score, but never be incorrect. India is the third largest startup in the world. The agriculture sector is the largest employer in India's economy. And India ranks second in the world in terms of farm hours. India is one of the fastest growing service sectors in the world, with an annual growth rate about above 9% in 2001, which contributes to 60% of GDP. Primary energy consumption of India is the third largest after China and the US, with a 5.3% global share. India's share in world trade is growing and top export dimension. India are United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, China and the United Kingdom. The top import origins are China, the United States, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Switzerland. It should therefore come as no surprise to us that the World Bank sees India as the fastest growing major emerging economy for the next 3 years. It is expected that the economy will see a robust GDP growth, 10.3% in 2018-19 and 70.5% for the next 2 years. I am sure that your discussion on the economy and the industry policy will lead the nation forward to achieve greater goals in the coming years. I have been an entrepreneur myself and also a journalist, and I know the intricacies of the two professions. They are full of variety and challenges and give you the satisfaction of a good job done. When the mission is completed, our mission should always be national in character and people-friendly in aspiration. India has a tremendous advantage of 125 crore people, half of whom are below the age of 25. Properly trained and adequately equipped, this large workforce can dominate the world. It is up to enlightened leaders of journalism and industry to work with the government and society to be the torchbearer of the onward march. Let me close by exhorting each one of you, devote yourself to national business. Nandri Vanakkam, Jai Hind.
Swaminathan, senior member of the UWA, to kindly come and present his latest publication to His Excellency.
On behalf of the editors, we are very happy to announce our Global Export Award 2018, which was presented in our conference Bangkok, Thailand on 14th of January 2018. But Honorable Dr. K. Dagarajan, the President of United Trustees, was not present in that program because of another activities and achievements. So that particular award, which was presented in Thailand on 14th January, we would like to present the same award here in this function. I request Honorable Working President of Embedded Trust, Honorable Prakash Sawantji, to kindly present the certificate of award to Honorable Dr. Tyagarajan. I request His Excellency Honorable Governor of Tamilnadu, Shriman Banwarilal Purohit, sir, to present the certificate to Honorable Dr. K. Tyagarajan, sir. Mr. Prakash Sawant, please.
His Excellency Shri Banwarilal Purohit ji, Honorable Governor of Tamilnadu, very dynamic and compassionate and passionate gentleman. Sir, we are all, Tamil Nadu is proud to have a governor of your stature here, sir. You stand for our country and administration. Your chaste Tamil moves our heart. Thank you very much. Being a journalist yourself, you mentioned the hierarchy with which a person can grow up to the editor, chief editor, and ethics in terms of styles will be the current, in terms of principles stand like a rock. That is what our governor is. Benjamin Franklin, when you are good to others, you are best to yourself, and he is a standing example. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I profusely thank our chief guest. And we must realize that in a society, the only changeless factor is that change is inevitable, change is happening, change for the better. And really, our association profusely thank Mr. Manilal also, Lion Manilal, who is a great social worker, and Dr. Amar Prasad Reddy.